Unraveling the Sinister Truth, a detective exposes a haunting killer behind 12 unexplained murders. Through the quiet suburb of Oakbrook Terrace, a chilling pall settled on the town like a heavy fog. The air was thick with fear after a string of 12 unexplained murders shattered the veneer of safety that once cloaked the white picket fences and friendly neighbors. Only the echoes of screams seemed to linger, unwelcome sounds that crept into the minds of once comfortable families. Shadows writhed under the streetlights, threatening to upend the tranquility that lulled them into complacency. Detective Lisa Harrington gripped the wheel of her car, eyes scanning the darkened streets. She felt the weight of the night drape over her, like an unwelcome cloak. As she drove, the memories of her 8-year-old son, Evan, so innocent, so trusting, played like a movie reel in her mind. How could she protect him when a murderer lurked within their very community? Goosebumps shivered down her spine as she recalled the hushed whispers from children at the playground, tales of a shadow man who blinded the guilty with terror. Ignoring the fear constricting her throat, she pressed on, hearts pounding behind locked doors. The neighbors exchanged cautious glances as Lisa passed by. Cold sweat soaked her brow as she sensed the community's palpable tension, unwilling to acknowledge what they knew deep down. The playground's laughter had morphed into terrified whispers, children wide-eyed with panic, speaking of a ghostly figure patrolling near the abandoned Evergreen school. Their imaginations? Or was the shadow man real? The thought gnawed at her as she parked outside her modest home. Before she could sink into the familiarity of her safe haven, the unsettling chill clawed at her again. A letter lay waiting in her mailbox, ominously written in an unsteady hand. "Stop investigating, or you will lose everything." Panic radiated through her, icy fingers wrapping around her heart. But what could she do? This was her job. She needed to expose the darkness lurking in the corners of her hometown. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Frustrated, Lisa reached out to her only ally, her best friend Jenna. But as she explained her fears, she noticed a shift in Jenna's demeanor. The guarded expression, the darting eyes, it was all wrong. The cold sweat on Lisa's brow turned into a full-scale panic. Suspicion burgeoned, and she wondered, could Jenna be hiding something too? As Lisa felt the noose of danger tightening around her, the truth became a cruel mirage, seemingly just out of reach. Could the real killer be someone she brushed shoulders with daily? Just when she thought she could unravel the sinister threads intertwining her life, a knock echoed through her home, shaking her to the core. This couldn't be happening. Each heartbeat thundered in her ears as she stood frozen. A shadow loomed on the doorstep, a figure she once trusted? The line between monstrous and human blurred before her eyes, and the realization hit like a punch to the gut. This familiar town, her haven, was suffused with danger. Would she discover the haunting truth of the shadow man before it consumed her and Evan? Lisa hesitated at the door, the heavy silence amplifying the pounding in her chest. She could feel the cold sweat pooling at the base of her neck, trickling down her spine as the presence on the other side urged her to act. Mustering every ounce of courage, she reached for the doorknob, the metallic chill sending a shock through her veins. "Who's there?" she called, her voice trembling in the stillness. At first, there was only silence, and then a deep voice rumbled from beyond the door. "It's me, Jenna, let me in." Confusion gripped Lisa. Her mind raced like a trapped animal. Jenna? Why was she here? Nerves intertwined with suspicion, swirling within her like a storm as she opened the door. The sight of her friend sent a jolt of mixed relief and unease surging through her. Jenna's face was pale, eyes wide, darting around her surroundings as if she expected the darkness itself to manifest. "What are you doing here at this hour?" Lisa asked, forcing her voice steady, but the knot of anxiety in her gut tightened. "I needed to talk to you," Jenna stammered, stepping inside, her gaze flickering to the shadows lurking in the corners. There's something you need to know. An icy shiver ran through Lisa, a lingering seed of dread blossoming in her chest. You received a letter too, didn't you? Jenna's expression hardened. How did you know about that? Lisa's heart dropped. I got one warning me to stop. She advanced, voices low as if speaking too loud could draw the shadow man into their home. Jenna, what do you know? Jenna hesitated, teeth biting into her lip, trembling hands rubbing nervously against her sides. I've heard things about people. About the murders. You can't trust anyone, Lisa. I think they might be closer than we think. What do you mean? Lisa pressed, instincts urging her to dig deeper. We have to find the truth before it's too late, Jenna said, her eyes caught by something behind Lisa. Panic surged through them as Lisa turned, heart racing. And then, in a blink, she noticed the front porch light flicker. Lisa felt the hair stand on the back of her neck. Someone's outside. Jenna's face strained of color. We need to suddenly. A loud bang echoed against the door, rattling the frames. The tremors in Lisa's body flared into outright terror. Someone was trying to break in. They both sprang into action, Lisa lunging for the phone while Jenna rushed to the nearest window, peering through the curtains. I can't see anything. The banging intensified, a relentless assault that reverberated through the house. Call the police! Jenna shouted, but the words caught in Lisa's throat as she dialed, fear rendering her fingers fumbling. Loud breaths filled the room, terror pooling in each corner. Who was outside? Was it connected to the letters? Or even worse, the shadow man? With a trembling finger, she hit speak on her phone, her eyes glued to Jenna, who stepped back from the window, panic kissing her face. Lisa, what if the door quaked again? A loud voice now cutting through the chaos. Open up! We know you're in there! The very familiarity of the voice slammed into Lisa like a brick wall. It was someone she recognized, someone she couldn't make sense of. Was it really? Questions spiraled as they held their breath together, staring at each other wide-eyed, the darkness quivering just beyond the door. The reality of safety shattered, and in that split second, doubts raised their ugly heads again. What if the killer wasn't just a stranger in the shadows? Lisa steeled herself, adrenaline fueling her next move. The terror of what lay beyond must be confronted, as whispers of a familiar face lurked dangerously close. We have to hide. But from whom? The door rattled again, and the shadow man's grip tightened over her world. Lisa's heart thundered in her chest as her mind raced through every possible outcome. They had to act fast. She darted toward the small hallway closet, her breath short and shallow, adrenaline blurring her thoughts. Jenna hesitated, frozen near the window, her eyes darting wildly around the room. Move! Lisa hissed, urgency clawing at her voice. With a nod, Jenna joined her, and together they crouched in the cramped space, the smell of mothballs overwhelming their senses. There was no time to think. Just as they closed the door, the heavy pounding on the front door erupted again, echoing through the house. Lisa tried to silence the frantic pounding of her own heart, as she pressed her back against the wall, straining to listen. Open up! We know you're in there! That voice again, familiar, but wrong somehow. Panic surged, a dark tide washing over her. Was it really who she thought it was? The heavy thud of footsteps followed, marching away from the door. Lisa exchanged glances with Jenna, dread pooling in her stomach. Was this a diversion? Then, a sudden crash. Something shattered outside, and the sound sent waves of fear coursing through her. What was happening? They were trapped, with no clear way out. Lisa strained, trying to hear what was next. Muffled voices carried anxiety straight into her bones. Did you see them? A harsh whisper floated through the nearby window, barely audible. They were close, too close. We have to get inside now. The realization dawned like a cold wave crashing over her. There were more of them. Lisa's fingers tightened around Jenna's wrist, her pulse racing as the edges of her vision began to blur. Abandon all hope, all sense of safety. We can't stay here. We need to find a way out. Lisa's voice was barely above a whisper, each word laced with urgency. Jenna nodded, her face pale in the dim light filtering through the closet cracks. But just as they started to inch toward the door, a chilling voice rose outside, clear and sinister. Where are you hiding, girls? You can't escape us. The breath froze in Lisa's lungs, and she felt the world tilt beneath her. The shadow man's laughter cut through the darkness, slithering around them like smoke. We know about the letters, he continued, voice thick with malice. You think you can run from this? We are always watching. Lisa squeezed her eyes shut, the panic surging anew. What did they know? Her mind darted back to the letter, to fears that had been whispered to her in shadows. Had she brought Jenna into this nightmare? They should never have investigated. A loud crash echoed, jolting her wide awake. The door to the living room banged open, and Lisa's heart raced as footsteps thundered through the hallway. They were inside, searching. Swiftly, Lisa darted to the nearest window, the cold glass reflecting the terror etched on her face. She couldn't see them, but she felt them, looming closer, their presence invading her mind, suffocating her hope. What do we do? Jenna whispered, her voice trembling. Lisa swallowed hard, adrenaline buzzing through her veins like electricity. We need to find the back door. We have to get out now. But escape was a puzzle, and time was slipping away. In that unsettling silence, as they edged toward the back, a shadow loomed in the doorway, blocking their exit. Jenna gasped as Lisa's breath hitched in her throat. They were no longer alone. Come on out. It's time for a little chat, the voice taunted, the familiarity twisting the dread even deeper as they realized who was standing there. Panic surged. Would they face the truth that the real monster had been hiding in plain sight? As Lisa's world spiraled down into darkness, a single, chilling thought shot through her mind: how much longer could they hide before the darkness consumed them entirely? And in that moment, the door began to creak open wider, the shadow stretching toward them like a hand reaching out from the abyss. The door swung open, revealing a figure cloaked in shadows. It was him. The one voice they dreaded to hear, the neighborhood's pariah, known for his twisted tales and even more twisted actions. Lisa's chest tightened as she instinctively pressed herself against Jenna, the fear coursing through her like ice water. Don't be scared now. We're just having a little reunion, he said, a sickening grin creeping across his face. The glint of something metallic flickered in his hand. Lisa's breath quickened as she realized it was a knife. The blade gleamed in the dim light, a promise of violence. Jenna's grip tightened around Lisa's wrist, her eyes wide with disbelief and terror. What does he want? She whispered, her voice trembling uncontrollably. I don't know, Lisa barely managed to reply, trying to sound strong while the tremors invaded her limbs. But we can't let him find us. The shadow man stepped forward, the floorboards creaking under his weight, his eyes searching. I know you're scared, but there's no need to hide. You've stirred things up, and now you have to face the consequences. A muffled shout echoed from outside, pulling Lisa's focus. Were there others out there? Were they friends or more of the terrifying figures who had pursued them? The chaos outside seemed relentless, an insatiable whirlpool pulling them closer to their doom. With a sudden burst of courage, Lisa pushed past Jenna, brushing aside the lingering miasma of fear. What do you want from us? She demanded, voice steadier than she felt. He chuckled, stepping into the closet as if it were a stage. You're curious, aren't you? About the letters? About the girls from your neighborhood who vanished one by one. His eyes sparkled with mania, relishing their terror. Lisa shuddered. The letters had warned of a darkness that seeped into their lives, whispering warnings that they had ignored. She felt the weight of her resolve slip even further away. Tell us! Jenna cried, her voice breaking. The shadow man leaned closer, his breath rancid and tinged with madness. You should be left it alone. But you too persisted. You wanted truth? Here I am, ready to enlighten you or end you. Lisa felt the reality unravel around her. He knew too much, too intimately. Did she even stand a chance? We won't let you hurt anyone else, Lisa shouted, her defiance igniting a flicker of hope. Jenna's eyes were filled with doubt, but Lisa felt a surge of energy propelling her forward. He merely laughed again, a sound that sliced through the air. Oh, sweet girls. You don't get to decide that. You're just pawns in a much larger game. Then, as if the universe itself paused in horror, loud screams erupted from outside, jerking his attention. The shadow man turned, momentarily distracted. Now's our chance, Lisa whispered urgently. With all the adrenaline she could muster, she grabbed Jenna's hand, and they bolted toward the back door. Their hearts pounded in tandem, the path ahead uncertain, fogged with fear. The night was thick with danger, a chessboard where they were unknowing pieces. As they fumbled through the door, the chilling laughter of the shadow man echoed behind them. Run all you want! You can't escape what's coming. Tremors of dread clawed at Lisa as they stumbled into the dark yard, where a sudden movement caught her eye. Something was lurking in the shadows, shifting closer. Jenna! She gasped, halting mid-step, but it was too late. They were already deep in a trap woven tighter than they could have ever imagined. With the moonlight hiding more than it revealed, they could only take one step forward. But the question loomed above them like a specter. Once they stepped into the night, could they ever truly escape? The imminent danger surged close behind. What lay ahead? What truth would the darkness whisper next? The air was thick with tension, a suffocating blanket that seemed to crawl over Lisa's skin. She scanned the yard, heart racing. The shadows were alive, twisting and shifting ominously. Jenna pulled closer, fear tightening her grip on Lisa's arm. What was that? Jenna breathed, her voice barely a whisper. I don't know, but we can't wait to find out, Lisa replied. They stepped cautiously, the dirt crunching beneath their feet now sounding like thunderclaps in the stillness. Then they heard it again, a rustle, low and deliberate. They froze, breath hitching. Shapes emerged, grotesque forms just beyond the trees. Run! Lisa yelled, adrenaline surging as they sprinted toward the fence at the yard's edge. Behind them, the laughter of the shadow man cut through the night, a grim echo that chased them like a predator. As they reached the wooden barrier, Lisa felt desperation pulse through her veins. The latch was stuck, rusted from neglect. Panic bubbled up as she tugged at it, her heart pummeling against her ribcage. Come on! Jenna urged, but her voice trembled, mingling with the sounds of imminent danger. The rustling grew closer, the figures from the shadows now distinct. They were coming for them. Lisa finally yanked the latch free, flinging the gate open just enough for them to squeeze through. They barreled into the alley, breathless. The night felt thick enough to slice. We need to find somewhere safe, Jenna gasped, glancing back, as if expecting to see the shadow man appear at any moment. Over there! Lisa pointed to an old, abandoned house across the block. Darkness cloaked it like a shroud. They dashed toward it, desperate for cover. Once inside, silence enveloped them. Dust danced in the narrow beam of moonlight that filtered through cracked windows. The air smelled of mildew and decay, a suffocating reminder of abandonment. Did we lose him? Jenna whispered, her eyes darting around. Lisa's heart sank as she peered into the corners. The house was eerily still, but that only amplified her dread. I don't know, but we can't stay here long. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the other side of the house. They both jumped, fear skittering down their spines. Lisa motioned for Jenna to follow her deeper inside, away from the window, feeling the dread curl inside her like a snake. Okay, think, she whispered, pressing her back against the wall. What do we do? We need a plan. Jenna looked at her, eyes wide. Plan? Do you really think there's a plan that'll keep us alive? Maybe there is, Lisa said, clenching her teeth. We've got to remember the stories, the ones that started all this. Jenna blinked, confusion shadowing her fear. What stories? Lisa's mind raced back to the letters, each one painting a portrait of the vanished girls, their final days intertwined, restless souls bound to the very house they now hid in. Each tale had woven tighter around their neighborhood, whispers spiraling into panic. The anger of the girls, the victims' spirits. They never wanted this. Jenna's eyes widened, understanding dawning. What if we summon them? Jenna suggested hesitantly. What if they can help us? Before Lisa could respond, the front door swung open, creaking against the wall. Shadows flooded in, and from the darkness stepped the Shadow Man, his presence suffocating the air. "Did you really think you could escape?" he taunted, mocking in his joy, the knife glinting in his hand as he advanced slowly. In that terrifying moment, with uncertainty screaming around them, Lisa felt a flicker of defiance. "We're not alone!" she shouted, her voice echoing fiercely through the house. The laughter stopped, replaced by a chilling silence as if the very walls were holding their breath. The air crackled with tension, and Lisa gripped Jenna's hand fiercely, her heart racing. But what would the shadows reveal? Would the lost girls become allies or vengeful spirits? As the weight of the moment hung in the air, Lisa braced herself for a reckoning. Could the truth set them free, or would it drag them deeper into despair? There was no escape from the impending storm. And it was coming fast. Lisa's heart raced, a drum echoing in her ears as she fought the urge to panic. The Shadow Man stood before them, a menacing silhouette with a knife that glinted like a starless night. "Help us!" Jenna screamed, her voice cracking. The Shadow Man hesitated, a fleeting moment of uncertainty flickering across his dark features. Lisa seized that instant. "We're not your enemies. We know about the girls, about what happened." 3 cruel steps took him closer, his smile a jagged crescent. "And what do you think they'll do for you? They're long gone, just like your lives will be." There was no escape route, the windows were boarded, sealing them away. Sweat dripped down Lisa's back, her eyes darting toward the front door now looming ominously behind the figure. Jenna's grip on her hand tightened, panic washing over them like a dark tide. "Let us call for them," Lisa shouted, desperation spilling from her lips. "If you're stronger than us, then you have nothing to fear. Show us the truth." The Shadow Man paused. An unsettling silence filled the room, thick and suffocating. The air seemed to warp around them. Lisa felt a breeze whispering from somewhere deep within the house, unseen, yet palpable. It carried a faint, sweet scent like flowers cut too early. "Do you think they care?" he finally whispered, his voice an icy caress. "They've been forsaken. You can't summon broken spirits." "But they were never broken," Jenna interjected. "They wanted justice. They wanted to be heard." With a cruel laugh, the Shadow Man lunged forward, but Lisa stepped in front of Jenna, ready to intercept whatever horror he might unleash. "Bring them back," she yelled, her voice cracking with raw emotion. "Let us end this cycle. Help us!" Suddenly, the darkness around the Shadow Man rippled. Shadows cast by the moonlight danced along the walls, twisting and turning as if alive. Lisa and Jenna felt a pull, a force drawing them toward the very edges of the room. And then they heard it, a soft chorus of whispers fluttering in the air like moth wings. "The girls see?" The Shadow Man sneered, but there was a quiver in his voice. "They don't even want to listen to you." "Shut up!" Jenna shouted, her voice suddenly fierce. "It's time for you to make them listen." The shadows grew heavy, thickening with intent. Lisa shut her eyes, summoning the memory of each girl, their laughter, their pain. Even in death, they were relentless, like ghosts clawing back at the world. "Join us!" Lisa cried out into the growing darkness. "We can't let this monster win." A surge of energy wave-like exploded around them as the whispers melded into a unified chant, an anthem of the lost. Lisa felt the chill of ghostly fingers brushing against her skin, a surge of cold coursing through her as the shadows solidified, merging to form the figures of the vanished girls. Gone were the twisted images of sadness. In their place stood defiance, eyes glowing with fervor. "Do you feel them?" Jenna gasped, astonishment blooming in her voice. But the Shadow Man recoiled, dread slicing across his features. "No, no! You can't just summon them." The girls advanced, their presence like a surge of icy air that pushed against the Shadow Man. He stumbled back, shadows twisting in terror like wild animals. "That's right," Lisa breathed, her resolve hardening. "You'll face what you've done." As the specters surrounded him, laughter filled the room, laughs that shouldn't be heard, yet rang clear in the air. But just as victory seemed near, the Shadow Man raised his knife, and the trembling world shifted once more. "You think you can defeat me? You have no idea what I can unleash. Lisa's breath caught in her throat, and fear flooded back. In that moment, she realized the girls were only part of the answer. Would this confrontation cost them everything? As the shadows clashed and reformed, a rift opened in the very fabric of the house, throbbing with uncertainty and dread. What terror lurked on the other side? Would they emerge victorious, or would a deeper darkness swallow them whole? The dance of shadows and spirits spiraled around them, revealing glimpses of the horrors that awaited, and in that chilling moment, reality twisted anew. Would they cross the line into salvation, or would they tumble deeper into despair? The shadows writhed like snakes, coiling tighter around the Shadow Man as he braced himself against the onslaught of energy. Lisa felt the rush of the lost girls at her back, their fury and pain translating into a palpable force. Yet dread permeated the air, thickening it until it felt suffocating. "Get back!" the Shadow Man howled, swinging his knife wildly. It cut through the mist, but the girls pressed on, a tide of ethereal strength urging them forward. The laughter twisted, reverberating through the room, a sound that should have inspired joy, now morphed into a haunting symphony of retribution. As the Shadow Man stumbled to regain his composure, his eyes widened with realization. "You think you can control them? You're merely toys in their game." The dark figure loomed larger, shadows spilling from him like ink dropped into water. The room shivered, walls trembling as if they too feared the confrontation. "Give us justice!" Lisa shouted, desperation fighting to break free from the pit of her stomach. A part of her quailed at the thought of what might happen next. Would they be crushed beneath the weight of unleashed horrors? Suddenly, the rift pulsated, a hungry maw beckoning from the darkened corners of the room. Lisa's heart raced. She could sense it, something immense, a power unfathomable, lurked behind that veil. The laughter of the girls crescendoed, mixing with the Shadow Man's howl as he waved his knife, trying to sever the connection. But the girls weren't having any of it. They surged forward, reaching for the knife, their cold hands grasping the hilt. The metal trembled at the point of contact, reality flickering as they fought for control. Lisa felt her own strength mingle with theirs, an electric thrill mixing with terror as they united. "Fight him! Don't let him win!" Jenna yelled, her voice barely competing against the cacophony of spirits. The tension in the air crackled like a storm about to unleash its fury. Yet the Shadow Man's grin held cruelty, a twisted reflection of his soul. "Foolish girls," he sneered. "You think this is a game? I am the darkness that preys on your nightmares. You're as vulnerable as they were." The spirits paused for a moment, confusion rippling through them. Lisa's heart sank. Doubts echoed in her mind. Could they truly challenge an evil so deeply rooted? "Trust us!" she screamed, battling the encroaching despair. "You're not lost. We believe in you." And as if summoned by her words, the girls churned in unison, their figures brightening, the echo of laughter morphing into a clarion call. With a surge, they swarmed around the Shadow Man, forcing him back, his figure blurred by the blend of light and darkness. But just then, the rift flared ominously, a pulse of raw energy threatening to swallow them all. The air thrummed, shaking the very foundations of the house. Inside the darkness, Lisa felt a growing dread. What lay behind that veil? Was it freedom, or the abyss? "Join me or perish!" the Shadow Man cried, desperation creeping into his voice as he thrummed his knife against the air, invoking some unseen terror. Jenna grabbed Lisa's arm, urgency flickering in her eyes. "We can't let him take us. Not now, not after everything." But the tension jolted like an electric shock. The rift yawned wider, casting a terrifying glow, an invitation and a warning. The girls wavered, caught between two worlds, and the mounting darkness loomed large. "Betray them, and you will be the scapegoats." The Shadow Man howled, his voice echoing with madness. Lisa's vision blurred as shadows crawled toward them, hungry and malicious. "Stay strong," she breathed, clinging to the girl's presence. But even as they fought, her fear spiraled. Was this the moment it would all unravel? As screams echoed in a haunting crescendo, just beyond the rift, Lisa caught a glimpse of what awaited, sights too ghastly to comprehend. Would they have the strength to push through? Or was the real terror still lurking, waiting to strike when hope was at its lowest? The visions twisted and writhed like whitewater rapids, beckoning them into an unknown fate. Whatever lay ahead promised madness, and the choice would be theirs to make. The air thickened around them, pressing in like a vice. Shadows twisted and morphed, a living tapestry of darkness, mocking the girl's resolve. Lisa could feel the icy fingers of despair closing in, each heartbeat echoing in her ears like a drumroll signaling the end. "Stay together," she urged, trying to sound braver than she felt. With a sudden jolt, energy surged from the rift, pulsing in rhythm with the chilling laughter of the lost girls. Their faces glowed brighter, illuminating the room in an eerie light. For a fleeting moment, hope fluttered in Lisa's chest, a fragile thing, barely alive. The Shadow Man's confidence faltered, his shadows flickering around him as he confronted the growing power of the girls. "Stay back!" he roared, flinging his knife toward them. It sliced through the air with deadly intent, a glint of cold steel that promised nothing but violence. Lisa ducked instinctively, adrenaline spiking. The girls screamed in unison, their voices rising like an anthem, shaking the walls of the room. But the Shadow Man only laughed, a dark, humorless sound. "You think your memories give you power? You are nothing but echoes. Forgotten!" He lunged forward, shadows spilling from his fingertips, engulfing the girls in a suffocating shroud. In that moment, Lisa felt the talon-like grip of fear clutch her throat. "We can't lose!" she screamed, forcing herself to focus, anchoring her mind to the path ahead. "We are stronger together." But doubt seeped into the ranks of the spirits, their laughter faltering, turning to soft whimpers. Lisa could feel their anguish, their confusion, a swelling tide threatening to pull her down. Panic coursed through her veins, sharp and insistent. If the girls faltered, they would all be consumed. "Don't listen to him. You have the power. Remember who you are," she shouted, her throat raw. She could almost see the memories swirling, images of laughter and sunlight, freedom and innocence. Outside the rift, twisted faces began to manifest, girls who had become shadows, once bright and vibrant, now hauntingly hollow. They reached out, pleading, their mouths moving, but no sound escaped. The reality settled heavily on her. This was not just about survival, but redemption. The Shadow Man prowled closer, his form shifting and stretching, a grotesque figure of pure malice. "You think they can save you? They'll drag you down with them. Your past is a curse." Lisa's heart plummeted. The rift pulsed fiercely, and a crack of thunder roared from beyond it. It felt alive, breathing, the breath of something ancient and terrifying. Something not meant for human eyes. "Fight!" Jenna yelled, stepping forward, rallying the girls. "Push him back!" Like a trigger, the command sparked something deep within the spirits. They tightened their formation. With renewed strength, they surged together, their ethereal glow intensifying. The Shadow Man recoiled, shadows flickering as if retreating from a flame. "No! You will not escape!" His scream twisted, morphing into a wail that clawed at the edges of sanity, reverberating with a pulled terror. As the girls advanced, Lisa felt a weight lifting, but underneath it, the rift beckoned harder. Darkness pulsed, calling her name. And suddenly, amidst the frenzy, she could see it clearly. The blurry edges of a truth long hidden, layered beneath the chaos. What if, she thought, a sickening realization dawning? What if the answer lies on the other side? "Hold on!" she yelled, as shadows danced closer, a ravenous darkness prepared to swallow them whole. The rift yawning larger, it echoed her thoughts, teasing her with secrets that chilled her blood. The battle was shifting. Lives hung in the balance, and choices loomed like a dark specter. With every ounce of strength, she propelled herself forward, urging the lost ones to focus, to believe. But as she stepped closer to the rift, more than just the fear of darkness filled her, an irresistible pull towards the unknown. Caught between what she had known and what could be, Lisa faced the choice that could either seal their fate or unleash horrors yet unseen. "Do we cross?" she whispered, glancing at the girls, their faces painted with a mixture of fear and hope. Their answer hung on a thread, a mere breath away from reality, and then she took a step closer. The air pulsed with an electric tension as Lisa's foot hovered over the threshold of the rift. The moment felt both fleeting and eternal, a suspended breath caught in the throat of reality. She felt the shadows swirl hungrily around her ankles, pulling her closer to the unknown, as if daring her to take the plunge. Lisa! Jenna's voice broke through the haze, a desperate call for grounding. What are you doing? We can't just jump in there. Panic clouded her eyes, though determination flickered within them. We need to know the truth, Lisa replied, though uncertainty clawed at her gut. The rift throbbed like a heartbeat, urging her to listen to its dark whisper. If we figure out what's on the other side, maybe we can stop him. Maybe we can save the others. Or maybe we'll get sucked into that hell. Jenna countered, her face paling. The flickers of spectral faces danced around them, their whispers weaving a tapestry of warnings. But inside, Lisa felt the flicker of hope igniting, growing brighter against despair. Remember your light, she urged the other spirits. Don't let him dim you. We have the power to reclaim our stories. With a final breath, Lisa took an impulsive step into the rift. The world around her disintegrated, unraveled into threads of darkness and light. She was engulfed in a cocoon of shadows, and a shattering chill clawed at her soul. The echoes of ghosts faded, replaced by the roar of chaos in her mind. The sensation rocked her, tossing her like a storm-tossed ship. Lisa fought to keep her focus. It was then that visions hit her like a tainted wave. Memories clashed and merged, terrifying flashes of faces long forgotten, laughter twisted into cries, innocence sneered at by monstrous figures lurking just out of sight. And there stood the Shadow Man, clearer now, a shadowy specter anchored to those memories. You shouldn't have come here, he hissed, his voice dripping with malice. The darkness around him pulsed with desperation, shadows turning towards her in a whirl of anger and sorrow. Why are you doing this? Lisa challenged, her voice steady despite the tempest swirling around her. What do you want? He smiled, a twisted, ghastly expression. To show you who you truly are. You are just like them, lost and afraid. Shadows recoiled, whispering her past, weaving tales of shame and fear that wrapped around her mind like barbed wire. With every heartbeat, doubt clawed at her heart. No! I'm not like them! She shouted defiantly, pouring her will into the words. I will not let you define me! The room trembled with the weight of her conviction. The rift pulsated violently, shadows recoiling momentarily under the force of her declaration. A flicker of light ignited within her, not the kind that was easily extinguished. It was fierce like a flame, illuminating her purpose. Suddenly, the rift expanded, revealing a swirling vortex of frayed memories and dark intentions. Lisa craned her neck, caught between the beauty and horror that lay ahead. The temptation to dive deeper pulled at her, but she remembered the girls behind her. The wailing of spirits echoed in her ears, drifting out like a beckoning song. Lisa swiveled back, determined. I won't leave you! She felt Jenna's presence invigorate her. But then, a roar erupted from the Shadow Man, shadows rising like an enraged tide. You will regret this! He thundered, lunging toward her. And yet, as they clashed shadow against light, a startling clarity took her by surprise. The truth she feared wasn't just about the rift itself. It lay in confronting the shadows of her past, accepting the pain entwined with her memories. Join me, whispered another voice, familiar and taunting her own. Don't you want to know what you could become? It shimmered just at the edge. Questions swirled, dread pooling in her stomach. As the darkness threatened to engulf her again, the light flickered. She faced a moment of truth, a choice powerful enough to change everything. Would she confront her past, knowing it could lead to liberation or destruction? Or would she flee from the glow of her own light? Do I fight? Lisa whispered, grappling with the weight of her decision, the abyss of fear yawning before her. And the rift writhed, waiting for her answer. Lisa's heart raced in the chaotic swirl of emotions as she struggled between light and shadow. The Shadow Man hissed behind her, shadows coiling like smoke around his figure, prepared to snatch her back into the darkness. You cannot resist what you are! he spat, frantic desperation coloring his voice. No! I will not become a part of your game! Lisa stepped forward, solidifying her resolve. The memories of the lost girls surged beneath the surface, a wave of pain and determination. They had been trapped, just like her. They had suffered because of his twisted stories, but this was their chance to rewrite the narrative. Jenna's voice cut through the tension. Lisa! We're with you! We have to face this together! The chorus of lost spirits echoed her sentiment, the amalgamation of their anguish transforming into a mighty roar of defiance. The warmth of their collective energy surged around Lisa, and she felt the flicker of hope ignite within her chest. The shadows around the Shadow Man wavered, momentarily losing their hold as he faltered. You think you're so strong, so empowered? He bellowed, but Lisa saw the flicker of fear in his eyes. He was losing control. No! We are not lost! She cried out into the pulsing dark, every ounce of conviction pouring out. We are the memories you thought you could bury. We are the voices you silenced. In that moment, the room trembled with energy. The fractured beings of the vanished girls surged forward, coiling around the Shadow Man like a fierce tempest. It was their collective pain that had given birth to this confrontation, and it was now that same pain turned fierce rebellion that would strike back. The Shadow Man recoiled, shadows becoming erratic around him, his arrogance cracking under the weight of their condemnation. I will not be defeated! He cried out, launching himself forward, knife poised to obliterate Lisa's courage. But she stood firm, channeling the power of the girls behind her, united in their shared goal. Fight back! Jenna shouted, and with that they found their strength, all equal and unwavering. The energy swelled, a torrent of light intertwining with the very darkest shadows. A wave of fear washed over the Shadow Man as he realized the true strength of their collective will. The girls, infused with the essence of their lost dreams, raised their arms. You will not take us anymore, they cried, and a beacon of light burst forth, illuminating the entire room in a brilliant flash. Lisa felt the clarity surge through her as they launched simultaneously. The warmth emanated in a powerful wave, crashing against the encroaching darkness. As the shadows writhed, the rift had opened fully behind them, revealing the truth that lay hidden, the very essence of what they had lost, waiting to be reclaimed. No! The Shadow Man howled, anger cracking through his voice as he struggled against the tide of light. You will be forgotten! But Lisa understood now. This was the moment of redemption, not just for the lost girls, but for herself too. With renewed strength, she screamed, We will not let fear define us! The truth will end your terror! With one final, cathartic push, the united energy erupted, casting the Shadow Man into the rift, a fierce wave drowning him in his own darkness. Light engulfed the room, flickering across the walls, illuminating the whispers of the past, echoes of laughter and innocence flooding back, reaching out to Lisa and Jenna, binding them together as liberation unfurled around them. The house trembled, the shadows shrank back, and with one synchronized moment, they felt it, the warmth of freedom. The energy shifted, the rift collapsed, sealing away the horrors that had haunted them for far too long. In that final scene of turbulence, the girls' soft laughter danced around them, like a gentle wind whispering promises of peace. Lisa turned to Jenna, their faces illuminated in the aftermath. We did it, she breathed, disbelief lacing her voice. We set them free, Jenna replied, her eyes glistening with tears of relief. As dawn began to peek through the remnants of the shadows, an unburdened silence settled over the home. The haunting echoes erased at last, the nightmares casting off their masks. Together they stepped into the light, leaving the darkness behind. Oakbrook Terrace began to shake off its fear, revealing dawn's gentle touch. The community would heal, and life would return to normal. But Lisa knew one truth, clear as day now: fear would never hold her again, nor would it constrain the spirit of the lost. And as they both turned away from the remnants of that night, ready to face whatever came next, Lisa took a moment to look at the home that had become a battlefield. It was just a house now, its walls holding stories twisted by terror. But those stories were theirs to tell now. Let us go home, she whispered, squeezing Jenna's hand tightly. They stepped forward, A bond forged in darkness and light, knowing they would never forget. Now it's your turn. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm and support what we do. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. True fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.